Welcome back to Melodic Memories of Light's Monarch. I'm Casey, and happy Sleep Token release. I know that it happened on Friday, obviously, granted. I can't say release week because that was technically last week, but it is now out. We now live in a world where Even In Arcadia is out and for our consumption. Honestly, I have to say I'm very happy with it. I had no idea what to expect, as those of you that have listened to my podcasts in the past already know that I haven't listened to any of the Sleep Token singles at all. I have been keeping a fresh slate, and I also don't really know much of their back catalog either, except for Take Me Back to Eden, which obviously is a great album in and of its own right. But Even in Arcadia marks the very first time I personally have been able to call myself a fan and be there for an album release. Granted, I guess I can't really call myself a fan until now, because now I've finally been there and properly adore the music. And the first album that I heard of theirs was Take Me Back to Eden, as I just mentioned. And that one, yes, I liked a lot, but I never got the feeling of connection, the actual overflow of emotions that this one has made me feel this whole entire time. It's hard to try to ramble on about how I feel towards this album, which a lot of it just left me speechless. And yeah, it's unfortunate to not be able to know exactly the words to use, but I've had a couple days to sit with the album. Granted, I only listened to it on Saturday, and I will get into my experience with it here in a moment, but holy hell, it's a great album. If any of you out there that want to go listen to it right now before I talk about it, because going in blind is unlike any other, especially if you are able to have the experience in the way that I did, in which I listened to it for the very first time. And the reason I didn't listen to it on release day of Friday was because I listened to it on vinyl. Now, I didn't get the chance to order any of the vinyl records or any of the variants that they had many of course, as I've seen them be posted time and time again. But with the vinyl variants that were released, I just couldn't afford to buy them. I'll be straight up and honest about it. The American store, I have a hard time wanting to order from there, not only because I'm Canadian, but our dollar kind of blows compared to the American dollar, and it's just a little bit too expensive on that note, and also shipping. Absolutely wild. Luckily, I do work at a record store, Sunrise Records. Hell yeah. They did get in only two copies of it on vinyl, which is very sad to see. But I was honestly very excited and caught off guard that we got any at all, especially because RCA, if I'm not mistaken, is a subsidiary of Sony. And Sunrise Records, at least my Sunrise Records, I don't know if it's company wide or whatnot, doesn't really get much in from Sony related labels, which is very unfortunate to say, but we did get the two from Sleep Token. Still none of their other albums, though, unfortunately. Maybe if I lived in a bigger city, there'd be more of a chance, but the ones that we did get in were only the black variants. Big sad, no special colors, but holy fuck. And excuse my French here, but I have to say, holy fuck, this album is insane, especially listening to it for that first listen on vinyl. Granted, I might be biased, and that might be why it hit so hard to me, but I do know, listening to the album even more on streaming and seeing how that hits while I'm in a vehicle and whatnot. Even while I was at Sunrise Records, I had it streaming to our little Bluetooth speaker we have. Holy fuck, yeah, no, it stands up. It's got the emotion, it's got the power, it's got the instrumentals, like everything that it has just makes my metaphorical cup just overflow with emotion, because that's what the album is. It is so emotion filled and gives me goosebumps. Every single song, I would have to say, gives me goosebumps in one way or another. And the shivers down my spine, just the feeling that you get with music when you really understand it, when it really hits you, and you just fucking can't help but feel. And it might be a little bit overwhelming for people. Granted, it was for me too, but not in a bad way. It honestly, the album in its entirety, it feels nowhere near as long as it actually is, because it comes in around an hour, with only 11 songs, mind you, because some of them are pretty long. Some of them are like 8 minutes, 7 minutes, 6 minutes. Like, this album, they still have the track time, if you will. The length of the songs are very much akin to metal bands. Even though Sleep Token, they have proven time and time again that they are not just a metal band. They don't really deserve or shouldn't ever be cornered into one genre, because they prove it here, as they've proven it before, that they are genreless. This album is completely genreless. It has so much to it, from hip hop to metal to pop to jazz to fucking. It's so much. Like, something that you don't get with modern music or music in general. The closest I can even think to compare it to is 21 Pilots. And granted, 21 Pilots is obviously amazing in their own right. I love them. I'm a huge fan. But Sleep Token, they do it in a completely different way. Instead of having different songs sound like different genres, they'll have one song sound like 4 different genres in one song. Granted, that could be why their songs are so long, in terms of, a regular track length of around 3 to 4 minutes. But their track length is like 6 to 7 minutes. So, granted, they do have songs that are a little bit more quote-unquote normal length. All the same, though, just crazy. Crazy they're able to do that. Crazy how talented they are, as it shows by them being able to do that. And it leaves me, as I said, speechless. Granted, I can't be speechless, as if I am completely speechless, this podcast is going to go nowhere. You're just going to be sitting here listening to silence. And I don't think that's what anybody wants. So let me say this right now. It honestly speaks towards what some fans are speculating with the fact that it doesn't feel as long as it should be. Because I have to say this before I get into the album itself. State of the Scene podcast. They're a podcast that I don't personally listen to, but I do follow them on socials and keep up to date with certain things from them. Not all the time, but I see them in my feed all the same, so shout out to them. For what I know, they're great guys and they love Sleep Tokens, so I have to take this and say it to everyone that doesn't know them. They posted on Twitter today that fans are speculating that Sleep Token may drop a second new album this year, referencing the 2 houses used within the marketing, citing hidden messages, quote-unquote, within lyrics on Apple and Spotify, and instances of album playback showing 20 total tracks on some streaming interfaces. Granted, it could just be a glitch. It could be just fans being hopeful fans, as every fan just wants more from their favorite artists. I understand. I'm the same with 21 Pilots and Clancy, still holding hope that when it does turn a year old, as Blurryface is nearing its 10-year, once Clancy actually hits that 1-year-old, I'm still have my fingers crossed. Whether I'm going to have to put on the clown paint or not, that we will get a deluxe version of Clancy or that double album that fans speculated about quite a while ago. We'll see. Granted, this isn't about 21 Pilots today. With Sleep Token, it's very interesting to think about. And granted, I don't know the lore of Sleep Token, at least not much at all, aside from Vessel being the main character, the singer, and him going after some moon goddess. Granted, don't mean to give any offense, but that's just what I was told, high level. And it would be very interesting to see if this has, or at least holds, any weight. Granted, wait and see kind of thing. We won't know until we know, obviously. But I think as fans and as music listeners, we should be happy with what we got, as proven with Caramel. I know when that was released, and shout out to Crystal, she's the one that told me this. They only really released it because the fans were being so pushy. And with the lyrical content of that song, it makes complete sense. Honestly, I think that not only towards Sleep Token, but music in general, towards artists in general, we should really hold more love towards them, show more love towards the songs that they do feel they want to release, and be happy and more content with what we have rather than longing for what we don't. I know it's kind of ingrained in us as a society and just as human beings to always want more or expect more or whatever the case is, but it's not always right to do. And it is kind of a hindrance to a lot of these bands that put out something that they poured their heart and soul into. For fans, quote unquote fans at least, to then just say, okay, when's the next one? Like, it's always the next one, rather than just sitting with what we have. And I think that's what a lot of people need to do with Even in Arcadia, is to just sit with it and let it really settle in and just feel the emotion that it conveys. Because when I tell you I listened to this on vinyl for the first time with Crystal, it made me bawl my eyes out. I sobbed, okay? And I don't do that often for an album through its entirety. Granted, there might have been one, maybe two songs that I didn't sob for, but I was still teary-eyed, choked up, feeling the emotion. And for an album to do that from start to finish, I know it's only 11 tracks long, so granted, it's not the longest album ever, but it still makes it an hour in length. Like, I was crying for an hour straight, more or less, give or take. Like, I have to give them props where it's due, because that's not commonplace. That's not what a lot of artists can do. Sometimes artists struggle conveying emotion, and granted, those artists might not get many places, unfortunately, as music is used to convey emotion, used to do so many things, but there are people out there that don't like emotional music, and obviously for those people out there, Sleep Token probably isn't your best bet to go try out. Sleep Token really knows what they're doing, and they know what they want to say, and they just go for it. And they speak in ways of lyricism, in ways of instrumentals, and just in the whole way of their album release. The way that they have this kind of story of Arcadia behind this album. And granted, again, I don't know a lot of the lore throughout their whole history, which I am going to look into a lot more now that I loved this album so much. I cannot wait to dive into their old stuff once I let this album settle, so don't expect anything anytime really soon. But all the same, Even in Arcadia did an amazing job at just conveying everything that it needed to and wanted to. And I know that it might sound like I'm biased, but again, I'm not a fan from before. I can say I liked Take Me Back to Eden, but I was never in love with it. And this album, I could say the year ended today, and I know I said this about Acres as well, but this would have to take #1 spot. From Acres even. And granted, if Black Veil releases anything, shout out to them if they're even listening. God knows they probably aren't, but Black Veil Brides, if they release something somehow this year, you never know. That might take #1 spot, because that, my friends, is bias. Love them, and I cannot deny it. But we're not talking about Black Veil. We're not talking about 21 Pilots. Today we're talking about Sleep Token and their new album, Even in Arcadia. Now, the journey that I took to buy it on vinyl, I just bought it from my local record store, the one that I work at. Hell yeah. Was able to support anyways, and we didn't listen to it on the Friday, Crystal and I, as she was still visiting at this point, and we ended up listening to it the next day after we finished up The Lost Boys, which was the very first time I ever seen it, and I needed to mention it just for a moment because, wow, it's a great movie from the 80s. It's got that 80s vibe, very nostalgic, kind of like The Goonies. Definitely more gritty and dark than The Goonies, but all the same, it gave me that kind of 80 movies nostalgic kind of comfort vibe. Very good, honestly very good, but I needed to mention it just for the simple fact that, yeah, it's one of Crystal's favorite movies, but even more so, I need to say, we watched it right before the untimely passing of Greg Canham, the Oscar-winning and legendary SFX artist, and prosthetics designer behind not only The Lost Boys, but also Bram Stoker's Dracula, and of course much more. But I just needed to mention him because he is a legacy, and to be able to do things the way that he did for the prosthetics, everything that he does, obviously you see it in the films, and for him to have passed away literally right after we finished watching it is very sad. I know it's a coincidence, but I needed to touch on it just to say rest in peace. And thank you for your contributions to movies in general, as many fans probably agree. Now, to get that out of the way, obviously, with a heavy heart, I say rest in peace. And it was a nice movie, all the same. I loved The Lost Boys. I must admit, I was kind of going into it thinking it might be just kind of cheesy and bad, but it was actually really good for what it was. And we got to finish that up, or follow that up, rather, with Sleep Token's new record because, again, I bought it on vinyl, popped it on the turntable, and honestly, the rest was history. Opening it up, though, before I get too ahead of myself, was so cool. Now, again, this album is a 11-track album, and it was pressed on a double LP, 2 vinyl discs, which does not happen often for that many songs, so goes to show truly how long the songs are, as I believe side D or side 4, however they worded it, on the actual records themselves, had only 2 tracks, the last 2. Which that's wild. It took up like the whole disc almost. Like I haven't had a record like that. Granted, I have a lot of records, so that's why I say it like this. But it was just really cool. The packaging was really nice. Obviously, the album artwork, I don't know what it means, but wow, does it ever make me just entranced. Like I look at it and it just sucks me in. Which is exactly what the album does in the way it sounds. It just sucks you in, no matter what. At least, granted, it sucks me in. I shouldn't say everyone, but all the same. For what it is, opening it up and it being that gatefold vinyl, the triple gatefold rather, like you open up one side, then you open up the inside and it's the full 3 panels. Wow, is it ever immersive and just so beautiful. Obviously, the artwork being blown up is always nice to see on a vinyl jacket, and the inside of the vinyl jacket, which is what I was talking about, is just to die for. They knocked it out of the park with the vibes, with the, again, sucking you right into their world that they're creating or that they have created over this time. It's just so immersive. And it's spoken towards the artwork, towards the actual packaging itself, and to the songs. The main meat and bones of this record, the music. Now, when I bought the vinyl, I do have to shout out some coworkers that I have, meaning Summer, Gracie, Caden, you guys that were listening to it, that I knew were listening to the Sleep Token's new album. I know I was caught off guard by Gracie, and Summer a little bit here too, because I seen on Facebook she was sharing it, but all the same, Caden is one of my buddies, coworker as well. I showed him Sleep Token, and he has told me since that they are now his favorite band, his favorite artist, and I'm so happy that I was able to do that. And I know it's just patting myself on the back, and I don't mean to be that way, but all the same, I just wanted to say it because hell yeah, I'm glad I could introduce you to an artist that honestly, I didn't even know was half as good as I know now. Like, I am now getting acquainted with Sleep Token myself, and I'm just glad I was able to pass along a quality artist, because it's always nice sharing your favorite artists. It's always nice sharing songs that you think someone will like, and that's kind of what I thought. I thought Take Me Back to Eden might be something that he liked, and I shared the album. And obviously, it worked out. He loves it. They all loved it, and they seen the vinyl copy that I had as I did buy it during my lunch, brought it to work, and of course, they were impressed. I just had to mention that right quick. But to speak on the actual vinyl artwork itself just a little bit more, it's so aesthetically pleasing, and with it, they truly found a way to bring you into this world as if you yourself washed up on the shores of Arcadia and are lost without memory in such a mystical feeling place within its imagery. It's beautifully haunting, which is exactly how I feel best to explain the album in its entirety. It's beautifully haunting. And I think that that in itself is the best way that I could even begin to describe it. The track listing itself goes Look to Windward, Emergence, Past Self, Dangerous, Caramel, Even in Arcadia, Provider, Damocles, Gethsemane, and Infinite Baths. Honestly, a wicked track listing. I know I glanced over all of them. My favorite, as well as Caden's, the guy that I mentioned earlier, my buddy, we both agree the best song on the album's gotta be the 9th track. Sorry, there's 10 songs on this album. 10 tracks, 10 songs. Now again, this album's very short, but the track listing itself is so quality. I know by the names of the songs you don't know what they're about, and I will dive into that a little bit. I honestly don't think I should tell my total thoughts on it. Granted, I do believe the album is very, very good, and my favorite is Gethsemane. Obviously, if I'm butchering that, it's track 9. I don't know how to say it. I don't know if anyone else knows how to say it. If you know how to say it, though, call me out, and I will gladly correct myself in the next episode. But it's hard to pick an absolute favorite. I do love that one for its lyrical content, for how it made me feel. It made me sob like a baby. And I just have to say the whole album is really good. If I had to pick a top 3, it would be Gethsemane, granted no order, obviously. Gethsemane, Past Self, and Caramel. Granted, I didn't listen to any singles before, so Caramel I can call one of my favorites. And Past Self is just, it honestly makes me feel so hard. And granted, I do have a hard past myself. So I relate really hard to that song amongst many of the songs in the whole album. It is very hard for me to pick favorites. I like all of them for different reasons. And if I had to pick a non-favorite, because that would probably be easier in terms of like, hey, this one is like my least favorite, even though it's still good and I still like it, it is my least favorite. And that one would have to be Dangerous. Don't know why. It's just the one that I connect with the least. And honestly, the whole album being just solid is enough for me. And Dangerous is still a song that I enjoy. I just don't connect with it as well on that emotional level as I do with the rest of the track listing. It really leaves me speechless and overfilled with emotion, as I've said countless times already. I literally sobbed throughout the entire record, which I know I am more emotional myself. I know I'm an emotional person and connect with music a lot more or differently than some, but the album, it just hits different. Even the instrumentals of, I believe, Emergence or Even in Arcadia, it might have been Infinite Baths. I can't remember exactly which song it was. I should have wrote it down. I wish I had. But when I first listened to the album, when I was sobbing, I took a quick break from crying, hit with the instrumentals as it was just going over and over again and really dragging you deeper into it. And I just started sobbing. No lyrics, no nothing, just instrumentals. That is how powerful this album is. And again, I really don't mean to blow it out of the water. I don't mean to overhype it to God knows how much, but I do have to admit, it caught me so off guard. I know that Sleep Token is good, but to say they were this good, I was completely unaware. I will admit my ignorance. 'Cause wow. Now, speaking of the instrumentals that drive the emotion of this album amongst the lyricism of it itself, I wanted to share Crystal's thoughts because she listened to it with me. And she texted them to me. She wrote out a lot more than I could have even imagined her to write out. But Sleep Token is one of her favorite artists, so I have to say, makes sense. But I wanted to share them here on the podcast because it only seems fitting. As her and I listen to it together, I know we might not share the exact same thoughts towards it all, but it felt right to want to share it because she has some pretty good and solid thoughts towards each and every individual song. So, let's start with, obviously, track 1, Look to Windward. And to preface, so those of you know that she is an actual fan, she shared with me her Sleep Token playlist, which has everything in order as I like to do with my favorite artists. So she kind of did pick that up from me all the same, but she loves Sleep Token. So please take her opinion with complete certainty that she is a fan and I can attest to that. Now, track 1, Look to Windward. She says, "What a beginning to an album. The instrumental that slowly builds from the initial beat to the immense breakdown that starts with an agonizing scream, it sends shivers all over and only helps emphasize the impending transition that occurs to Vessel. To come out of the breakdown into a line of eyelids heavy enough to break diamonds, from all the pressure he's experiencing from battling himself. It sets the tone that this album will include a lot of battles, internally and externally, which plays on the existing lore, but also what the band experiences in real life too, when it comes to their identities." Great opinion on it, honestly. I love that song. Granted, I could say that for all of them, so I won't really touch on my opinion too much on that one, but I have to agree with her. It hit real hard, and I don't know much of the lore piece, but it's nice to hear it from somebody that actually knows what they're talking about towards the lore. Like, if this was 21 Pilots, I could go on and on. Sleep Token, though, I am not as informed, and it's nice to feel more informed. So, before I continue, if anyone out there wants to tell me the lore and go in depth on it, feel free, reach out to me at Lights Monarch on all the socials. I cannot wait to hear what all of you have to say. Give me your own breakdown. Fuck, anything. Hit me up. Next is track 2, Emergence. She says, "This was the first single of the album, and the most fitting to begin this phase of Sleep Token with. To let go of hiding who you are and come out in the open, you must emerge to find the newest version of yourself and ascend. It continues the struggle between not only Vessel and the deity he worships, Sleep, but also within Vessel himself. To look for the quiet amongst inner struggle is something that runs close to my heart, so this particular reference in the lyrics hits hard because same. The beat is addictive and has elements of ascensionism from Take Me Back to Eden, not to mention the instruments playing off different rhythms, while still being in 4/4 measure. And the saxophone at the end? What? Out of left field, but fits perfectly all the same. Terrific first look into the album theme. And granted, yes, I can agree. That saxophone caught me fucking off guard. As it did everyone, apparently. An amazing song. It builds. It's one of the longer tracks on the record. I can't say much more than she already said. I'm glad that it hit her hard. Obviously, every single thing, again, this is why I say what hits her hard might not hit me as hard, but we were both there crying, sobbing our eyes out to this entire record, so that's why I wanted to read this out. And obviously, going into track 3 being Past Self, she goes to say, "This one is probably my current favorite so far, which was a hard choice. The whimsical instrumental draws you in to hit you right in the gut with, I don't even know who I used to be." Initially, the song seems to be Vessel talking about the experience he's gone through that have hardened him to people. But as the song continues, it starts referring to going through life with someone as it's no longer a game or a fantasy, as he says. He's found someone who brings something back to him that he thought was lost, taking it side by side together, quote unquote. It made my heart flutter with an audible awe because that's what everyone is looking for in a partner after all. Someone who quiets the noise and will stand by their side through it all. Now, this is also one of my favorites on the album, as I mentioned earlier. So good. It is one of the shorter songs compared to the rest of them. Maybe even the shortest on the album now that I think about it, but doesn't even matter because it holds that emotion, and it is one of my favorites along with hers. And I have to say, I entirely agree with all that she says. It's very important, and it is an amazing song. Then track 4, Dangerous. She says, "This is actually one of my least favorites, but it's necessary for the album theme and story being written. To have someone you can't walk away from, even though you know it's toxic, is something that a lot of people would sadly relate to in today's society." Can totally agree. Again, and I should preface this, I guess I should have said this before, I haven't read her thoughts. This is the first time I myself am reading them too. So I'm reading them live. Fuck it, we do it live. Hell yeah. So it's very fitting that her and I share the same opinion on that one as well. It is very important to the album as its entirety. It's still a good song, but obviously the least favorite. Then track 5, Caramel. She says this is the second single and was actually released due to certain members of the fan base not being satisfied with Emergence. The fact that this is the single they release where it's clearly calling out those fans for a number of reasons is poetic and ironic and also harrowing. The lyrics acknowledge the fans who try to reveal the band's identities instead of respecting their privacy, but also acknowledges the fans who do respect them. Quote unquote, "The sweetest dreams are bitter," into "too blessed to be called ungrateful," into "this stage is a prison," quote unquote. It hurt my heart to hear. As someone who wanted to go into music at a young age because of my passion for the art, it's tragic to have your creative spark turned against you because of the fans, the industry. It's now about the next thing instead of letting an album cook fully. I totally agree. And again, that goes to speak on what I said earlier. She's the one that told me, and here it is in her words. Such a great opinion. I have to say, I agree once again. Then, obviously into track 6, Even In Arcadia, she says, the title track that opens with a snippet of chimes used to start promoting the album. Now it slowly shifts into hypnotic notes from the keyboard/piano, and then the lyrics start to build a sense of power, with the gods we thought were dying were just sharpening their blades. Vessel has ascended and calls to his lover with will, beside him still. Have you been waiting long? While he battled the inner demons? To end this song with strings adds to the intensity and connects Even in Arcadia and Emergence in the unique completion of each song. Now that one I agree with. I didn't fully understand it when I was reading it, so sorry if I butchered that, but I can say I agree, and Even in Arcadia, it is one of the ones that isn't fully involved in terms of lyrics, but wow, does it ever go ham with the instrumental, and it just makes you feel. Again, it pulls you in to Arcadia. It's insane the way this album does it. Then the next track, Provider, she goes to say, this is going to be the newest version of The Offering, or as fans refer to it as Sleep Token's baby-making music. The sensual tension within this song is represented wonderfully in the lyrics. The only good girl this side of the moon is definitely going to result in some population increases given what kind of fans the band has. Our bodies converse like old friends was one specific lyric that I resonated with. It's a lovely balance with how the song goes from lustful to professing his words as more than just infatuation, with the same chorus. The level of emotion portrayed on this album is a nice change from the lack thereof with most artists nowadays. Not all, just more than it should be. And that one I can agree with as well. Provider, I mean, I took it more so as a love song, but granted, she knows Sleep Token more than I do, so I can't say she's wrong. It's just another way of interpreting the song, and there are lines in there that is like, yeah, I could see why she might think that fans might think that as well. 100%. The next one being Damocles, the third and final single for the album, and this one hits painfully. From the first lyric to the last, my heart hurt and relates all the same. No one else knows that I've got a problem. Wake up alone and I'll be forgotten. I mean, what is he going through and for how long? Nobody told me that I'd get tired of myself. Like, wow. Because I think a lot of people struggle with all of these thoughts and more. It shows the point where in the story it spirals again as it did in the beginning before emerging from the eclipse that was halted. This song gave me the most heartache and concern for Vessel when it comes to how fame has changed his life and the band overall. With so many other artists having used their music as a voice for help, I hope he's able to find relief and no longer beg for it before it's too late. That drop to the depths can be quick and vast, and no one should have to experience the level of pain that comes with it. Granted, Damocles, I have to agree. That is, if I had to give a fourth favorite, obviously, again, all the songs are amazing. That one, yeah, that one hit really hard. And I have to say I relate as well. It's very, very sad for one to relate, but I feel like we can all relate to some extent, more or less, of just feeling worthless, of feeling forgotten, not enough, just spiraling, if you will, like Crystal said. The heartache of just not being what you want to be or being enough. Feeling you're not enough. Even though everyone out there, you are enough. I'm saying that right now to all you doubters out there. You're enough. But I got to agree, amazing song and so fitting for the third and final single before the actual album came out, because it really set the tone for those that listened anyways. I am not one of those people, but I have to say, listening to it after the album's already out, I could see it really setting the tone and just being everything that a fan could want. Then into track 9, I'm not going to try to butcher the name of it again. If you want to go listen to it, because my God, this is a good song. But she says, this one hit me the hardest in terms of crying. While I cried to the entire album, this one broke the hopeless romantic in me. You never saw me naked. You were my favorite color. It's struggling to be seen and understood, known by the one you want so badly too. It's shattering to the soul. I was in love with the thought that we were in love with each other. I can't even put into words how that lyric wrecked me. Nobody hurts me better, and allowing it to happen, being willing to receive less, so long as it means the person doesn't leave. cigarette ash still clinging to my clothes, for example. Like, just let me cry in the corner. And then ultimately moving on the best you can, but all still lingers despite how much you try to heal. And it ends with, I will always be reminded. Acceptance that the heartbreak will be a constant reminder. It's the conclusion of toxicity in Dangerous. And then obviously the last track on the album, big old track 10 itself, Infinite Baths. This is the final track, and it's a conclusion, an overall acceptance that you've grown and are no longer the same as you have been at the start of this story. You've changed. And sadly, nothing will fix the love story. It must expire for you to survive, and you're never going back. Even if I'm on my own when the silence is deafening, calling in your own strength. The waters are warm where they used to run freezing. I'm so tired of inside. I'm not leaving this time. All of it is to say, coming out of the heartbreak and mourning of a love, a life, a fantasy even, that didn't work out despite your desire for it too. And yet knowing you have the strength to move forward, and then to spiral back down with the breakdown, that wrath to come through after the calm. Great opinions, Crystal, amazing. And obviously she did write this last little bit that I must read. She says, overall an incredible album. It was my first to be there for the initial promotions, announcements, and to the actual release. Definitely solidified my love for their music, the poetry intertwined with the melodies they create. While it's based on lore for Sleep, I still relate to certain themes throughout their albums. For me personally, this is their best album thus far. Really excited to see where they go from here in due time, of course. Beautifully said, wonderfully said. Thank you so much for sharing all of your thoughts, not only with me, Crystal, but of course to the world and to all of you. Hopefully you guys appreciated her thoughts just as much as I have. And honestly, it was so great to be able to listen to it with her because she is a huge fan and has literally lyrics and whatnot tattooed on her body for them. Great that I was able to listen to it just in general as well, especially on vinyl. I cannot push that hard enough. But it was great. It really was an amazing album, and I want to continue rambling, but I've noticed I've already rambled for like around 40 minutes, and holy hell, that is insane because I didn't expect it. I didn't expect to have enough to talk about, but when I listened to the album, I was proven wrong because wow, again, it is one of the modern day, if I may say so myself, a modern day masterpiece. Very akin to what it's been being reviewed. And I know not a lot of people, not everyone rather, agrees, but that's the point of having an opinion. That's the point of music. It's supposed to make you feel, it's supposed to make you think, and you're supposed to have your own opinion on it. So if you don't like it, that's fine. Let me know what your thoughts are at Lights Monarch. Again, I want to know. Whether you hate it, whether you love it. Tell me why. Because the why is the most important thing. And if it makes you feel, then it did its job. Whether it made you feel like shit, or happy, or sad, or whatever the emotion was, it did its job. And if that's not the case, then please tell me why, because I must know. Now, speaking of Crystal, being that that was all of her thoughts, and again, I agree with them and appreciate her sharing. The trip that she was on to visit me, the month-long visit that she was here for, has now come to an end. Which is why this podcast is actually delayed and you guys aren't hearing it till a little later than usual. Hopefully not too much later because the Oilers do play tonight, so I need to rush to get this thing edited in time. Because I want to see them play. I want to hope and cheer them on to beat Vegas. They're going against Vegas right now, unfortunately. They are one game away from being tied for the series. It is a best of 7, as every playoff series is, but for those of you that don't know, Edmonton is leading 2-1. And tonight, being Monday, as I'm recording this, granted I should say that, tonight they play against Vegas again. And here's hoping that they're able to win because they are in Edmonton, as they were for the last game that they lost, unfortunately. Very bad break. The goalie was way out of the crease, and then obviously Draisaitl, his stick was in the wrong spot. Right spot for Vegas, wrong spot for us. They scored with literally I want to say 0.3 or it was 0.4 seconds left on the shot clock. like of the whole game. It was going to go into overtime is what I'm trying to say. Absolutely infuriating, very upsetting, just disappointing. So here's hoping. Fingers crossed. Let's fucking go, boys. Let's hope they can win and actually bring it to Vegas with a 3-1 lead in the series. I know it's being hopeful, but that's what you got to do as a fan. You always got to cheer them on. You always got to support them, and you got to hope that they're able to win. Now, I have to thank Crystal as she watched a lot of hockey with me because of the Oilers, but not only because of the Oilers, but also because of Team Canada. Now, I'll just touch on this real quick. The IIHF Hockey Championship, the men's hockey championship, is happening right now in Denmark and Sweden. The game times are way early in the morning. Like on Saturday, I believe, was the first game for Canada. They went against Slovenia, and it was at like 4 in the morning. Which, yeah, I got up for it, but man, was I ever dead tired that night because that was also the night of the Oilers game. So it was packed full, and it was also the day that I listened to Sleep Token. So what a fucking day that was, okay? But the IIHF Hockey Championship for the men's is happening right now, and it has, the reason I'm talking about it, Canada's in it, obviously, as they are every year. But this year in particular, they've got Crosby and McKinnon, Nathan McKinnon, Sidney Crosby, and Marc-Andre Fleury as their goalie. Granted, those are only 3 of the huge names that they have on their roster. Their roster's stacked, and I don't mean to say that in a cocky way. I don't mean to come off like, hell yeah, because of that we're going to win. But I do want to say that's a legendary roster that they've got this year, and I really hope that they're able to push as hard as they fucking can and bring home a gold medal. Not only for Crosby, not only for McKinnon, not only for Fleury, not only for the team, for Canada. Let's bring home gold. Come on, guys, let's fucking do it. Along with the Oilers, bring the Stanley Cup home, but you got a long ways to go compared to the hockey championship that's going on over in Sweden and Denmark. So fingers crossed, Canada, let's go. I'm going to be cheering you on for the games that I can watch, as I always do. And here's hoping that both these teams, Team Canada and the Oilers in the playoffs, hopefully they can both bring home wins for their next games and coming games to follow. Obviously, I'm going to be cheering them on. I'm going to be hoping. And if anyone loves sports as well, hopefully you're not too bored listening to me ramble about it for the little bit that I am. Let me know. Talk about it. I would love to talk sports. I love hockey. And to even say the Leafs, I wish them luck too. I know I'm not a Leafs fan, but I do have some buddies that are fans of the Leafs. And hell yeah, I hope that they win. I really want the Leafs versus Oilers Stanley Cup final. Granted, I hope they don't win that one if it comes to be, because I would rather the Oilers win, but all the same, it would be a legendary Stanley Cup final. And I'll just sit here with my fingers crossed and hope for the best. Come on, boys, Oilers, Canada, let's win this. Now, again, as I said before all that, thank you, Crystal, for watching all that hockey with me, and thank you for being here for as long as you had been, and thank you for doing all that you have done and continue to do for not only me, but just being a part of my life, and for everyone in your life. You are a light. You are a very important person, and I hope you never forget that, because it's something that not a lot of people get told all the time, and granted, sometimes people need it. And thank you as well for listening to Sleep Token with me, because that was awesome. And I hope that the next trip is soon to come. I know I will be down there soon, actually, because she lives in Chicago. I'll be down there in August to see MCR for their Long Live the Black Parade and System of a Down as they are playing Soldier Field. Now, I've never been to that arena, but I don't want to ramble too much on that. It is something I've talked about a little bit in my other podcasts. If you want to go check it out, go check them out, please. But I'm excited for the next trip. I can't wait to see you again. You are my best friend, and it's lovely to be able to spend the time that we are able to spend together. And I honestly can't say anything bad. I really, even if I was looking for it. So thank you again for being here, for having the trip with me, for sharing your thoughts, and hopefully you don't feel too shy because I'm calling you out so much. All the same, though, I will move on. So I don't keep on beating the dead horse of saying thank you a million times over. I do have to say there were some other new releases that came out the day of Sleep Token's release. And I do want to touch on them a little bit because they deserve to be talked about just the same. Granted, not all of them reach the heights that Sleep Token has, obviously, but I do need to say, and I will go in order of this as well. There was a song released by Hayley Williams and Moses Sumney called I Like It, I Like It. It was much a vibe, wasn't the best song in the world, but was a fucking vibe. Then Easy Exit by Sace 6, I have no idea, but with Rain City Drive was a good song. It didn't hit me as hard as I was expecting it to. I don't know if I need to give it more listens, but all the same, it is a new single. Then an album, Hobo Johnson Drinks. Hobo Johnson's back! I love him, and I know not everyone does. He is a very divisive artist, and not everyone adores his stuff, but Reese, I know you do, so you and I, obviously, we can understand this. But Hobo Johnson Drinks, it is a great album. Not his best by any means, but if you like Hobo Johnson, you're gonna like this one. It's better than the alienation of the fan base. It's better than Revenge of Hobo Johnson, in my personal opinion. And I really enjoyed it. Very happy with it. It's definitely a lot shorter. It's at 11 tracks, only at 33 minutes. So that goes to show how much effort and length Sleep Token has compared. But obviously, we're not here to compare completely different artists like that. Just here to say, Hobo Johnson Drinks is now out. It is his newest album. And if you want to go listen to it, it's there to go listen to. I quite enjoyed it. Next up, Orphans by The Living Tombstone. It's their last single before their upcoming album Rust releases, which releases in 17 days as of today on May 30th, 2025. Very excited for that. Logan, shout out to him, my buddy. He is the one that showed me them years ago. I love them to this day, and I'm very excited to hear what they've got cooking because the singles are honestly fire. I really enjoyed them. And it is giving a completely different vibe from 01, their last album. So I can't wait to see what this one is going to sound like in its entirety. Very exciting. Not a huge fan that they released 4 singles, but all the same, my favorite number for single releases is 3, but still, I'm excited. Then, Insorbinate Ingerland. Hopefully I said that right and didn't butcher it. It is the newest single from Hot Milk, which is hopefully the last one we will see. But their album is coming out soon, and granted I can't remember the exact day if they've even announced it, but they're building up to a new album, and they've changed a lot. I do enjoy the single and the other 2 singles that they've released first so far, but their first single was my favorite and still is. I think personally they're going in a political direction, and they've been very upfront about that, but personally I don't fully enjoy it. Like, I like the music. It sounds good. It is quality. They're doing a good job for what they're trying to say, and they're actually saying something with purpose. But I personally go towards music that, like their older stuff, which dealt with more inner turmoil or inner demons in a sense. But these singles don't exactly do that, at least not to the full extent that their old stuff has, like Glass Spiders or Breathing Underwater. Very excited to see where this album goes, all the same. I do like Hot Milk, but not exactly what I was hoping for, which is fine. It doesn't have to be for me. If they have something to say, then I will be here to hear it. And I can't wait to hear what that is, because they definitely are going in a political direction, as they've said, as literally the picture is them burning their flag, I would have to assume. Very intrigued. Next up, though, The Jaws of Life Deluxe, quote unquote. I don't know why they do this. It's Pierce the Veil, if for those that don't know. This deluxe edition isn't much of a deluxe edition. It changed the artwork, and they're selling a vinyl for like $60. I don't know why. It only has 2 extra songs, one being one they released literally 3 days before the deluxe version came out, and their cover of Karma Police. That's it. That's all it's got to offer. I personally don't think they should have released this. I don't think it should exist. It's good in terms of it's a good album, but as a deluxe edition of an album, especially for it to come out like 2 years later, not exactly super pleased with it. The songs themselves, again, are amazing. It's just the fact that they released it the way they did kind of sits not right with me. Like, I don't really know what to say, because it isn't much. It isn't much of anything, especially with that length of time given to really make a deluxe album. Or if they wanted to, they could have made even an EP and not even have it be a part of that. I'm not sure why they did the way they did, but it'd be cool to know why. So if anyone knows, please let me know. Not saying it was bad, but just as a deluxe version of an album, leaves a little bit more, well, granted, a lot more to be desired. Now, to finish off the last two singles, Hand That Feeds from the film Ballerina, which is apparently a John Wick spin-off. I've only seen the first John Wick, so I have no idea. Please, no spoilers. But Hand That Feeds, it's Halsey and Amy Lee. Amy Lee of Evanescence and Halsey. They work so well together. The harmony in the song, the way that they just feed off each other, it was really good. I have to admit, wasn't disappointed one bit. And then, Apologies from 3 Days Grace. I have to say, this is their best, absolute best song that they've ever released since Adam left the band. And granted, I don't know if that is a common opinion. I have no idea. I haven't heard anyone talk about this. But wow. I know 3 Days Grace isn't for everyone, especially with the, I want to say new singer, but they've had him for like 10 years now, Matty, for those that don't know, the Darkest Days old singer. The fact that they're both coming together on this song, as they had with Mayday and this entire album that is going to come out, called Alienation. These are the first two singles, being Apologies and Mayday, but Alienation, the album, comes out August 22nd, 2025. It's pretty far away, so we're probably going to get at least one more, if not two more singles, all the same. This song is emotional. It had a very emotional promotion towards it of people writing an apology to their younger self on a whiteboard, and I don't know much of it. I just seen a quick clip of it. That's why I had to mention. But it is a song that really hit me way harder than I ever expected it to, because it's 3 Days Grace. I know their albums have hit me in the past, but nothing as hard as this since something that they released way back in the day. Very happy with it. Makes me very excited for this record and to see what the fuck they're cooking up, because it has emotion, it has vulnerability, and it has that power, that vibe, that feeling of old 3 Days Grace. Super happy with it. Just had to mention. And those are the only new releases that I know of. There might be some stuff coming out this Friday, as always. And when that comes along, I will talk about it in the next episode. Again, as I always do. But to finish up here, finally, sorry for rambling on so long, I just needed to highlight the lovely comment from Andy's dad, Chris Bierzak. He commented on my YouTube upload for, I believe, my last podcast episode. And it caught me so off guard that I looked at my email in which it said what it said, and I just blinked. I was like, what? Are you kidding me? I know, granted, he is very big in the community of the BVB Army, if you will, and it just really caught me off guard in the best way. I was very happy to see it because it really was heartwarming. It made me feel good to just know that what I said reached someone, and for it to be Andy's dad of all things, Chris, hell yeah. Thank you for listening, Chris. I would have never expected it, but all the same, glad you're listening. Thank you so much for the support. And yeah, I had to shout him out because he said, I genuinely appreciate your kind words and support for Andy and his bandmates. Your thoughts about Andy as a person who cares about others means as much to me as your love for his music and other professional work. And that, hello? Thank you. Thank you so much. I don't mean to blow this out of the water. I know you're still a person. Apologies if this is at all uncomfortable, but it brought me a smile, and I just had to say it. And as I replied on YouTube, I won't read that out here, but it just meant a lot. So thank you so much for the support and for listening, and I hope that you enjoy this episode and all the episodes to come. And if anyone wants more Black Veil Brides podcasts from me, let me know. They're my favorite band. I would love to yap about them. And I hope I can make it to be on the Hearts to Heart BVB podcast. I hope I can be a part of it because it would be damn cool to come on the show, to come on the air. Let me know the deets and all that. But Chris, thanks for listening. And obviously everyone else, Thank you so much for listening, and thank you for discovering the music within.